Good day, it is me, Zarlekhan Medina, and you are watching IRD News in the YouTube channel. Thank you for being with us. Let us have a glance at the headlines first. On the September 22nd, at the Faculty of International Relations, a leading lecture was held by the well-known statesman, ambassador, extraordinary and plenipotentiary of the Republic of Kazakhstan, Bazhigitov Aimdos Yersainovich, on the topic Reminiscences of the Diplomat. What is meant to be a diplomat in the era of a global turbulence? During the lecture, an experienced diplomat gave an assessment of the instability and volatility of the geopolitical situation in the modern world, and shared his many years of experience with the students. On September 27, the faculty hosted an international roundtable dedicated to International Day of Peace. Representatives of the Union Information Bureau in Almaty and the Academic Regional Resource and the Information Center of Al-Farabi National University, as well as young scientists of the faculty, attended the international roundtable. The participants of the roundtable made presentation in which they emphasized in detail and the importance, the necessity of this event. And now we keep in touch with the latest developments the world over. On the 16th September 2022, a 22-year-old Iranian woman named Mahsa Amini dies after violent arrest for the infringing hijab rules amid Iranian crackdown on the woman's dress. The police later said that Amini had suffered a heart attack. Amini's family disputed this, however, and said she was healthy and had not been experiencing any health problems. According to Iran Human Rights Organization, as of 29 September, at least 76 people had been killed and 1,200 people detained and abused by the authorities, which was reported. President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev attends general debate of the 77th session of the UNE General Assembly. And the performance, the President of Kazakhstan has emphasized the importance of observing the fundamental tenets underlying the UNE. In particular, he pointed out the need to rethink the relationship between three primordial principles: the sovereign equality of states, the territorial integrity of states, and peaceful coexistence between states. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs of Republic of Kazakhstan, Mukhtar Tluberde, arrived on September 26 in Tokyo to attend the state funeral of former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Reported the minister's press service will remind you that in July, Abe assisted while giving a speech at an election rally. In 2015, Abe visited Kazakhstan, promising the country's support in developing advanced technologies from constructing the country's first nuclear power plant. While in Tokyo, Tluberde met with Japanese Foreign Affairs Minister Yoshimasa Hayashi to express his condolence on the behalf of the people of Kazakhstan and President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev. Russian President Vladimir Putin has raised the stakes in his war against Ukraine, announcing a partial mobilization on September 21st, meaning 300,000 reservist troops can now be sent to fight in Ukraine, reported The Guardian. At least 200,000 Russians left the country after Putin's mobilization order and exhaust, causing turmoil in borders and stirring fears of neighbor states about potential instability. The central event of the head of the state's visit to New York was participation of the general debate of 77th session of the UNE General Assembly. The president described the current era as one of the geopolitical confrontation characterized by the greater chaos and the unpredictability than heretofore. What has given rise to emotional distrust among nations, whereas a deepening distrust among world powers. Therefore, forced and combined climate change and implementing sustainable developments are now under threat. The result has been a threat to the basic principle of world community, living under international law. What is the importance of the 77th session of the UNE General Assembly? What's this topic or discussed at the 77th session of the UNE General Assembly? What innovations did the President of the Republic of Kazakhstan, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, come up with? What is the importance of Kazakhstan's innovators? For detailed answers, we have our expert, Delovarova Leila Fedorovna, PhD, Senior Lecturer at the Department of International Relations and World Economy, Al-Farabi, Kazakh National University.
The 77th session of the General Assembly of the United Nations was really special. Why? Because it happened during and on the background of the international turbulence and political instability worldwide. At the same time, it showed us that UN justified itself as an international and even global platform, which is open for dialogue, which is really important for all members of the United Nations. So, why it was important Kazakhstan? During his speech, our president, Mr. Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, mentioned key important principles of the international law. And in fact, these principles, which are also core of the international law, like sovereignty of the states, territorial integrity, and peaceful coexistence, all of these three principles are really important for further sustainable development of the whole world. The next important things which I see was that he mentioned the role of the member states and the world community in the preventing conflicts, not even reacting or regulating them. And in this context, he mentioned SICA. And this year, it will be 30th anniversary of this organization. And he expressed his hope that SICA will be organization which will fully respond these challenges, like preventing conflicts, like discussion, challenging, and vital things. And in this context, for sure, he appealed the Orient and the West to the fair dialogue, which will promote resolution of many frozen conflicts, which will bring more peace to international community. And I think it's really important. And the key initiative which was suggested by Mr. Tokayev is a settlement of the UN hub in Almaty. And this decision, which was approved by the member states, is crucial, because creation of UN hub in Almaty, in Kazakhstan, will be a really important step for keeping stability on the perimeter of Central Asia, where we have Afghanistan. It will be also really good case and practice, which will make possible solution of conflicts and even preventive for them, especially taking into account the humanitarian aspects. Moreover, President mentioned issues regarding climate change and Trans-Caspian corridor, because we understand how important logistics in this situation we have now. What else important to note is that our president mentioned political reforms, which we are pursuing in Kazakhstan, and we hope will lead to the total democratization of our society, and will be the final stage of the building the new Kazakhstan.
We really appreciate Leyla Fedorovna stepping in to support us. And moving on to the next analytical topic. As we mentioned earlier, it's recent times and the situation with the partial mobilization in Russia is heating up. Putin's mobilization order last week shocked millions of Russians who'd previously been largely shielded from the realities of the Kremlin's 7-month-long war in Ukraine. While Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said this was only affect only 300,000 of the 25 million residents, the call-up sparked a rush-up to leave the country, as response piled up of men being drafted who were officially exempt. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said the partial military mobilization was announced in response to NATO aid to Ukraine. It is important to note that in Russian history of Russia, mobilization was announced in Russian and USSR only twice, during the First World War and during the Second World War. Before moving on to expert opinion, we would like to know what is happening in Moscow present time. What a special correspondent in Moscow, Baghdad Lisbaeva, will report us.
It's beautiful autumn here in Russia. However, it's cold. It's cold not only outside of the house, but inside of the heart. Because country is experiencing not the best time in the world and in international relations. As a nation, country is divided into 3 large groups. The first group is devastated and their heart are broken. The reason of that, they are sending their sons, brothers and husbands to the war. The other group are trying to avoid this destiny and moving to foreign countries as Kazakhstan, Georgia, United Arab Emirates, etc. However, another part of the citizens are not worrying and caring about this situation at all. And those are only children. As you can see, there are still people who are not in the stress too much, as it can be shown from mass media and social network sources. In any case, majority of the Russians believe that this mobilization and the special operation or war should be come to an end as soon as possible. There is still hope, and people do believe in peace. Baghdad Alimkhanqızı from Russia, special for IRD News.
It is time for analyzing what are the prerequisites of the making a decision of partial mobilization in the Russian Federation. What is the current situation in Russian Federation related to partial mobilization and consequences the its neighbor states? What is the future of prospects for partial mobilization in the Russian Federation? For further details, our expert Bekov Kairat Bakhbergenovich, a senior lecturer at the Department of International Relations and World Economy, Al-Farabi Kazakh National University, will update our viewers.
The core reason behind Mr. Putin's decision to start so-called partial mobilization lies in the complex of problems, both domestic and military political. So in order to compensate heavy losses, the Supreme Commander of Russian forces, Mr. Putin, had to declare the partial mobilization. According to the decree issued by Russian government, there's a plan to enlist 300,000 men, and the problem is that they should be deployed in Ukraine in a short time. That's why Russian government and Russian military commanders, they have almost run out of time. That's why they need very quick deployment of additional forces. Of course, Russian commanders, they realize, they're well aware that this quality of these forces are not sufficient to have successful offensive operations. It means that their primary goal is to hold the lines, current lines, to defeat the Ukrainian attack and save de facto controlled territories in Donbass. You may have noticed that in the early stages of operation in February, Putin declared the demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine, but now in his recent speeches, he declared as the primary goal of special military operation, saving the Donbass people. The procedure, how this mobilization was conducted recently, shows that the final decision about starting this additional mobilization was made in a very short period of time, almost at the very last moment. That's why the character of this mobilization shows that it was planned long ago. there's an evidence showing that it was planned months ago, but its de facto implementation was very poor. I suppose the viewers of your channel are aware of multiple cases of mobilizing people who are not compliant to officially declared characteristics of enlisted people. Because Putin in his decree and later Shoigu in his interview, they named the very certain, very concrete characteristics of the people who complied to mobilization. Means the people who has the experience of military service. But nowadays, local military officials, local civil officials, they almost grab everyone they can reach. And it creates some domestic tensions. And the reaction of the public opinion in Russia was quite controversial because most of the people, they did not welcome mobilization in this way, despite declarations of Russian government that only 1% of the mobilization potential should be deployed in Ukraine. There's a huge worries that this people of different ages, different backgrounds, even people without military experience, they are all mobilized and sent to Ukraine in a very quick, in a very short period of time. The Russian government officially declared that these people would be sent to basic combat training. But nowadays, some news reports say that some units, they go through only 1 day, 2 days combat training and directly sent to Ukraine. Speaking about the effects of this mobilization to neighboring countries, well, as statistics shows, not so many people actually entered Kazakhstan. And most of them used Kazakhstan as a transit territory. Majority of them left our country. And it seems that the worries and fears are overestimated. So I'm not sure about Georgia, but I don't think that in Kazakhstan it would lead to some huge domestic problems because only a few thousand men staying in Kazakhstan won't be such a massive internal factor of domestic policy. So this problem is kindly overrated. Speaking about the possible outcomes of this mass mobilization, well, we should keep in mind that actually this partial mobilization is a third attempt of Vladimir Putin to enlist men, because before he tried to conduct so-called hidden mobilization. He tried to recruit so-called BARS, боевой армейский резерв страны in Russian, or country's combat army reserve, but this attempt failed. Also, as a next step, he tried to establish so-called volunteers battalions or national battalions in different regions of Russia. But this attempt also failed due to poor characteristics of the recruits, both in terms of quantity and in terms of quality. This is another attempt of Vladimir Putin to recruit men to his army. And I suppose the Russian military commanders and the Putin also, they realize that these forces, again, are no match to a professional Russian army. But they have no other choice. And I see two possible future scenarios. First one is that Russian leadership, they would continue mobilizing people because according to some reports, this decree gives the mechanism to recruit more people, up to 1 million. Or if such move would cause some domestic political tensions, Putin and his men, they gonna have no other choice but using the methods of nuclear threat. So it means that Putin has no other choice but continuing his escalation policy, even taking into consideration that it might end with his defeat. And by defeat, I mean the total defeat, not only on the battlefields, but he might be destroyed as a political leader. His ratings might fall, and actually Putin decided to put everything at stake. This is very risky strategy, and it is very unpredictable. So it means that we will continue our existence in the situation of global uncertainty.
Yeah, we're very grateful to Kairat Bakhpirgenovich to his time and support. This concludes our edition. Thank you for your attention, stay with us, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and to turn on notifications.